Well, good evening and welcome to Jack 60 here in Jackson, Michigan, the PBA50 World Series of Bowling. It's World Championship time here. Tom Carter, Craig Elliott here. We're going to award another major here tonight live on BowlTV.
Yes, we are, and we got unbelievable talent on the show tonight, especially
That's an
with
understatement.
Tommy Hess shooting 300 in the position round to get here.
So Tom Hess, Chris Barnes, our first match, a rematch of our final of the Petraglia Legend pattern here a couple of days ago. They're going to show up here in game number one. Winner gets John Janawicz,
who is going for his second major in 7 weeks.
Yeah, since joining the PBA and PBA50 tour, he just comes out here and
he's crushing us out here, and Bowler of the Year honors too.
So, and remember, the key to Janawicz, the one event he didn't win this year is the event he didn't shoot 300 in. He shot 300 this week, so the odds are on his side that of his 3 titles of PBA50 action, the two regionals and the major, he shot 300.
So what's his percentage then?
Pretty good.
Okay.
Yeah, pretty darn good. And then the winner of that gets Brad Angelo. Brad had one of the best blocks of the day this morning. I mean, shot 250 every single game and moved in the lead for a while. But Troy Lint took that over and was never looking back.
And Troy Lint bowling for his second major in 6 weeks.
That's crazy.
It's unbelievable the talent that we have on this show for another major. And to watch these guys, what they had to do all week long to bowl on this pattern, because the lanes were tricky, the oil moved unbelievably, and the guys had to do it literally. I would like to have been a fly on their shoulder just to understand what they were doing, because the tricks that they had to do in order to strike on some patterns was incredible.
I think on some of the shots we see, I don't know if they knew what they were doing, because it seemed to change a lot. That was the big key this week, is a transition, and we talked about that during the break. Is how are these lanes going to transition, especially for the right-handers in this stepladder?
Well, some of the lanes right before, say, 8 feet in front of the pins, the ball looked like it backed up, and I didn't see that so much on the left side, but it was really a player on the right side. And now we have 4 righties and 1 lefty on the show. It all depends on what he does to transition his lanes to see how they hold up.
So advantage Troy Lint.
So far, yeah. I believe.
Well, we're going to find out here shortly. This will be our 4th title here in Jackson as part of the inaugural PBA50 World Series of Bowling. We ordered a title on the Ballard, which was Dan Knowlton. The Monticelli, John Rakoski, who made that our 5th consecutive first-time winner on this tour.
That would be Johnny Tat-Tat, because he won the True Amateur Challenge twice.
And then Tom Hess had to go up and screw up that string by getting his 4th win on the Petraglia pattern. But what that does for Tom Hess, if he wins tonight, he becomes Hall of Fame eligible here on the PBA50 Tour. So, I mean, that win Friday night was a big deal. Can you do it again?
But now he has to climb the ladder against guys that are absolutely locked on.
But this is Tom's 3rd show out of 4. He finished in the 3-4 on the first event, a second, a win, and here he is again looking for another title. So I would say if we awarded MVP of the World Series, it's Tom Hess.
Well, it's this guy right here. But I mean, how consistent do you have to be, and how versatile do you have to be in order to make 3 shows and then shoot 300 to make the show?
Yeah, that's exactly what he did, though, and he knocked Ryan Schaefer into the 6th spot. So here we go. Tom Hess will start on lane 53. And we saw him do that in his 300 game, just nice and smooth, nice and easy with that summit, a little bit of surface it looks like on it.
Yeah, and well, that's 13 in a row. He just hasn't stopped striking.
And it doesn't get much easier than this. Look, nice and easy. Well, he did the follow through was just a little bit to the left side of his ear there.
Yeah, when he's doing it like we were talked about in this 300 game, that nice long follow through and a little bit to the right, it's dead money.
And Barnes looked at what we've seen today. He's got that 260 or 170 look. There seems to be nothing in between for whatever reason.
Yeah, in the position round, he just didn't have a look at all. And I noticed in practice, he was throwing urethane right down 15.
Oh, really?
Trying to create a little bit of hold, I believe.
On this, what is this, 45
feet Dick Weber pattern.
There it is. So almost a 5-to-1 ratio again.
And if you look at this screen, it looks like we got forever hooked to the right. All you just got to do is throw it to the right. But what happens when you throw it to the right?
It stays there.
It's oh boy,
Yeah.
if it doesn't go in the gutter. We've
Yeah.
seen guys get one off the right.
Well, how many front 6, 5 counts have we seen this week? Quite a few.
We're using current oil, so that might have something to do with it. I mean, the oil's a little thin. It kind of moves around a little bit.
So both players going for their 5th title here on the PBA50 Tour. And coincidentally, Barnes' last win was here at Jack 60 last year.
So he's going for a repeat.
In this building, absolutely.
He had a chance to repeat in one of the shows. Just didn't make it.
Yep, just didn't quite get there. Tom Hess won that one. So a little rematch of Friday night action here.
So Hess is looking for a little payback. I mean, not Hess, but Barnes is looking for a little payback.
Touch high, leaves a 4. Slow roller doesn't touch it hard enough. 6th position here in the World Championships. Ryan Schaefer. 7th, Pete Weber. 8th, John Rakoski. All he did was shoot 300 3 times this week. 19th, Castillo, and 10th, Tony Landing. Yeah, which the John Rakoski show. He picked up a win on the Monticelli pattern, so that was pretty cool for John, his first title. And no problem taking care of that 4-pin. Round out the rest of the top 18 who made it to the advances round. Lenny Borsch, Jack Jurek, Tom Adcock, Ron Moore, Paul Fleming, Walter Ray Williams Jr., Chuck Ritchie Jr., and Dan Knowlton.
We got to see Walter Ray shoot 300 two-handed in the next to last game in this tournament.
There was only 14 300 this week.
Oh, I know, it's terrible.
3 of them by John Rakoski.
And there's that typical, if you get it just a little bit too far right, that ball wants to hang a little bit. The magic numbers was hitting 9-10 down lane. If you got it right of that, ball just didn't want to strike at all. And if you look at the marker, he was out to about 7, kind of half pocket, 10-pin. Ooh, that was just
no doubt.
I knew he had it as soon as he hit it.
Yep, so did he.
I mean, these guys have got so many games in. I mean, there's 24 games of bowling, not counting practice, not counting all the other tournaments. They got to be tired.
Well, just World Championship games alone was 48 games.
Yeah.
That doesn't count all the practice and the other 3 rounds of 16 that Tom Hess made deep runs in. And let's not forget the pre-practice practice. So that's a lot of ball games.
Oh, yeah.
Good shot for Chris Barnes there.
An hour before every day there was pre-practice practice. So they've got a soft probably 70 games in this week. Almost a whole league season.
Oh, I think Tom's pushing 100. Easy. What's Chris got there? Is that the reality?
That's the reality.
So a big ASIM ball.
So we got one throwing an ASIM, one throwing symmetric, one throwing, I think it's a pearl. Could be hybrid. That Summit. That's definitely a solid.
What kind of surface have the guys been putting on their equipment this week?
Believe it or not, anything from 360 to 2,000. It all depends on what they were trying to create.
Okay. Almost a 710 for Chris Barnes. That was a very prevalent leave this week. We actually saw it converted at least 3 times. Chris picked it up himself this week. But you don't want to leave it, that's for sure.
And that's the thing that we've seen. You see the ball get to the pocket, and it looks like it wants to keep going, and it just doesn't. And the thing about it, you know, guys seen that, and they go to a bigger ball that's going to hook a little more. The only thing it did was it hooked earlier on the pattern, which forced them farther left, and they still had the same result. I believe when you see John Janawicz get on the show, you're going to see him playing totally different than anybody else on the show. Ooh. 9-pin, almost a 4-9, but that was that swing that we talked about where that swing kind of goes to the right and he posts the shot, but on his real good shots that he struck forever, that follow-through stayed there, and he never moved at all until that ball went
through the pins.
So some of this could be the fact that these guys are just getting wore out. I think Tommy's last 4 games averaged almost 270 to get to the show.
Is he going to carry this one? He does. Yeah, 300 in the position round, as you mentioned. In the games before that, 244, 279, 269 his last 4.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
That's not bad, but just to get to 5th, the downside of that is that Tom couldn't win games. The round before he'd shoot 230s and lose. So he said, you know what? Enough of that. 260, 270, 300. Try to beat that.
And he just lit him up the last couple of games. I mean, he found something, or something was good, and it was unbelievable to watch.
And his 244 lost to Walter Ray's 300 right before the position round. So.
Chris Barnes did not like that off his hand, and he didn't even see it, and it struck. He's playing the lanes way tighter right now than he's played this whole 24 games of match play. Actually, 18 games of match play. I take that back.
He absolutely hated it. Never got to the spot.
You know, a player of his quality hates the shot when he just walks away and looks around to see what he got. Like, did I hit something?
Except for Dino. Those are the ones he likes.
Dino does it every shot.
Much better shot.
Oh,
Barnes up 11 now.
Barnes throwing the ball 16.9. Hess's last strike, 15-7. Barnes is playing right of third arrow, and he, for most of today and yesterday, he was left of third arrow by a bunch.
You see Tom Hess in contrast just under 16, so almost a full mile-an-hour difference there.
And Tommy's playing a little bit farther left on the lane. You see, when Tommy gets amped, it's kind of fun to watch it. I mean, he comes back off the approach quick. I mean, he's like trucking. I got to get that next shot in. Tom Hess looked like he crossed him right at 15, and he got that out to 8, but that ball's pretty responsive off the back end.
Yeah, everything seems to be coming off the spot a little bit harder here in this opening match than what we saw towards the end of some of our match play rounds.
But then again, this afternoon, when we started the final 6 games, the scores were a lot higher because we've seen that, especially that first game, the balls were coming off the pattern way different. Now, obviously, nothing's different other than the fact that there couldn't have been as much play on this pair as of right now. And this pair hasn't been used at all in the match play. This is set up just for the TV.
Yeah, we haven't used this pair since Advancers round yesterday.
Right. And in the previous shows that we have done, the left lane has always played a little bit tighter than the right lane. So Tommy really has an advantage, making 3 shows. He's been on this pair enough. He should know what he's doing.
Absolutely. But different pattern, but still you're going to see some similar tendencies in the pair.
Correct.
246 max for Chris Barnes, 258 the max score for Tom Hess.
If you've been watching all week, all the other shows were best 2 out of 3. This is the top 5 stepladder tonight. So completely different format, but this is for a major title.
That was with some authority right there.
Yeah, Chris is not giving up the pocket with that ball. There's some serious speed going on.
I think that's why we saw him throw urethane during practice, because that ball is aggressive. You need a little push.
Yeah,
out of that one.
he tried to create a little bit of hold for himself and is playing just to the right of that. Ho, ho, ho. The 3-pin kind of spun itself right off the back of the deck.
Take another look at this. Get out of there, 3-pin. Yeah, I wasn't in a hurry to get out of there, was it? Not at all. We want to take a minute to thank Dave Small for his hospitality, as always, here at Jack 60. And, of course, Josh Solomon and all their managers here in the center. The center's done a great job taking care of the bowlers and us all week long. We appreciate every bit of that.
There's that. Oh, I can't believe they didn't strike, because that was that long follow-through, post the shot till the ball hit the pins, giving Tommy Hess, I'm quite sure he's going to pick this up, 187 with a spare up. That ball looked good. That ball looked real good.
Eric Hall, the operation manager here, Food and Beverage, Rob Collier, assistant managers Skylar Cooper and Justin O'Shaughnessy here at Jack 60. And this was, I think, 80. How many titles are we at now for Dave Small and all of his centers combined?
90. He's in the 90s.
He's in the 90s now after this week. Well, this will be the 4th one this week. So,
hey, Dave Small puts together so many PBA tournaments, whether they're the kids tournaments, the PBA seniors. It's just incredible what he does for the sport of bowling. Max score for Barnes, 246. Max score for Tommy Hess, 237. Man, Chris is not giving that ball away. He is just launching on it.
I'm not 100% sure he was happy with that shot off his hand. He kind of gave it okay, good shot. Watch this here. He's kind of looking at it like, I think I like it. I'll tell you here in a second if I like it.
That was like right over 15 to 8 down lane.
Or maybe he wasn't sure if it was going to hook there. That was just an odd reaction. There's like,
it looked a lot different in slow motion than it did in fast motion. Huge, huge shot right now for Chris Barnes. Online.
Yeah, he's throwing it different on that left lane too. Those last couple have been extremely aggressive and no doubters.
Oh yeah, he is just lighting it up on that 17.1, and he's just keeping it online. It's not like he's not giving it a chance to get to the out of bounds to make a mistake.
But that reality, it's going to hook, right? It's a big core, pretty big cover.
Well, if you look at him wiping it off there, looks like it's a little bit of lane shine on things. So
a little bit, yeah.
That's going to get it through that mids a lot easier. I mean, fresh out of the box, that ball's crazy strong.
He likes it. Ooh, 10, snaps the 10 out late. So, again, you saw the graphic there. Just needs 2 pins as his next shot. This would be something right down the middle.
Yeah, it's going to be the high hard one, you would think. Either way, Tommy Hess, what a great week in making 4 shows.
Absolutely phenomenal. Yeah. Worst finish was in the 3-4 hole in the first tournament on the Ballard.
So that's 2 seconds. A win. What I think, 2 seconds.
I guess fifth here, yeah. Fifth here today. Yeah,
I'm so used to the 2 out of 3. You know,
right. we've got 3 more matches here. Yeah,
it's 2 out of 3. I've been seeing that all week. Now it's the top 5.
We get this Chris Barnes against this John Janawicz.
Yeah, who's this guy? He's some new guy on the tour that happens to throw it extremely well.
Yeah, who won his very first tournament, first 2 tournaments as a PBA50 player.
John Janawicz is absolutely fun to watch because what he does and the way he adjusts is incredible. Tommy totally disappointed. I mean, he's going to shoot 230. I'm assuming
that's what's happened to him all day, though, right?
Yeah.
I mean, doesn't matter what he shoots. His opponents are just a little bit better. Had 300 shot at him today. Said, you know what? I guess I better do that myself.
You talk about a guy with a ton of heart. There's probably more heart there than, because he wants every bit of it. We went out to a place called the Parlor last night for ice cream. Right, to be like.
Have you finished yours yet?
Oh yeah, I did. God, they give you so much. But there was probably 10 of us, and Tommy just happened to walk in. He was at the end of the line, and he bought all of us ice cream. He just a happy-go-lucky guy. He's a fierce competitor though when he's on the lane. 236 to 245. Chris Barnes moving on to meet John Janawicz.
So this is going to be a chess match. These are the 2 guys that are always watching what their opponent's doing, what their ball's doing, the way it goes through the pins. You're going to see a lot of things happening here in this match. 2 elite tacticians of our sport.
Well, and John taking notes off of every shot that he throws. And if you're watching the warm-up, he might throw something in the warm-up and look absolutely fantastic. It might change total of what he's going to do.
He did that to us at the Masters, remember? We watched him throw, I forget what ball it was there. His last 2 shots of practice, just dead flush. Like, oh, that's it.
Yeah, we both said
and then he never threw it again.
He never threw it again. And he wins the Masters. He just didn't like the way it was going through the pins, but he struck every shot. That's just that's understanding ball motion to the nth degree.
Well, yeah, when he makes a ball change, he knows exactly what it's going to do. That's why we can see him make not just ball changes, but huge moves when he does it. It's pretty impressive to watch. Brad Angelo will also get a few shots. He is your number 2 qualifier here.
So John is playing far right, and I have to assume, I shouldn't assume anything, but I have to assume that all he is doing is kind of breaking down his hook spot because he's going to move way left of that.
Well, and you know he saw what Chris did in practice with that urethane, so you know what? I'll come back and I'll throw something on top of that to maybe try to dry it up a little bit. And
right.
Because he can get in. For a guy that's 50, he's got a pretty good rev rate. He can hook the ball as much as anybody.
And John Janawicz is, I think we only have one other guy, far as I know, that throws 16 pounds out here. And he's throwing 16-pound equipment. And he's throwing a reality. Yeah,
Jack Jurickson 16. Viali was throwing 16 this week.
Oh, Jack Jurick's throwing 16? I didn't know that.
I don't think he switched yet. Yeah, last year he still was anyway. Who else did you have?
Keith Lesko throws 16.
Lesko 16. Okay, yeah, there's a few.
So there's 4. Jack Jurick throws 16?
Yeah, Lanning. So there's a few.
I mean, we got a few guys throwing 14 too, more than we've had in the past.
Are you the only guy throwing 12?
Yeah, I'm throwing 10 right now.
Okay.
Actually, I have to throw some 12s because the high-performance balls don't come in 10.
You're trying to get the right numbers, the right numbers.
Folks, every week I get beat up in the booth.
It's just because we love you, Tom. And it's easy. Upcoming events here, you see the Morgantown Classic, PBA50's first trip to suburban lanes in Morgantown. That'll start July 31st, and we start heading south.
Well, that's a limited field, too, because there's only 96 players in that field.
It's a 24-lane center.
Yeah, that's going to be, and it's already full, and we have a waiting list to get in.
Fantastic. We will have the entire center wired up. You'll see every single shot of that tournament live on BowlTV. We head back to Bowl America Drainsville in Sterling, Virginia. It's a major this year, the Bud Moore PBA50 Players Championship.
And that's going to be at Bill Moore's house.
Always. That's a great time for the finals. It makes a little bit of work on us to tear down, run over there, set up, and go, but we're looking forward to being back in Drainsville.
And if you get a chance, folks, and if you're even close to that place, Bill Moore would be more than happy to invite you in to show you the house, which it takes an hour and a half tour to go through his house. It's 20,000 square feet.
Yeah, and that's the nickel tour. If you pay for the full tour, it takes even longer.
Then we head off to Florida in August. I can't wait. We are going to be at Spanish Spring Lanes, August 14th through the 18th.
Yeah, back in the Villages. And then we had, east side of Florida, Fort Myers for the Lightning Strikes?
No, right? West side.
West side. Right. I was looking
side.
South when I was talking that. So.
Okay, west side.
Yes, heading west. And then a new event, the BVL Tournament of Champions at Orange Bowl in Lakeland.
And you have to be a PBA champion of some sort, either a national champion or you can be a regional champion to get into that tournament.
Oh, we've added 2 more this week.
Yes, we have.
Dan Knowlton, John Rakowski, they're eligible now.
And John Rakowski's like 20 minutes from there.
They're
so
both Florida guys.
I'm quite sure he's going to be there.
You think so? Yeah. I think somebody will make sure he gets there on time. So 4 titles up for grabs this week. There's only 5 tournaments left on the season.
We just happen to see John Janawicz move in a little bit and throw that last shot?
I believe so. So Barnes does not get any practice shots on the finals pair. He can just go off to 51 and 52 and take a few to stay loose. John gets 4 shots on each lane, and he's going to try a different ball just to see. He's getting all the information he can.
And I don't think there's anybody out on this tour that processes information any more refined than John Janawicz.
Yeah, the next guy is the guy who's bowling, Chris Barnes. I mean, they're 1 and 2 in the information technology side of bowling here. So who do you guys have out in the chat, and ladies? Chris Barnes, John Janawicz. Who's going to advance and take on Brad Angelo in this semifinal here?
Who's your pick for the win of the whole tournament?
It's very difficult to go against Troy Lint, not just because he's the only lefty, just because he's been bowling great all year long. And by the time he gets here, he's going to have a fresh condition. It really, to me, this is the match that's going to determine what the right side is going to look like later. How much moving these 2 guys do. If they just inch in a little bit, then I think the scores could be pretty good for the rest of the way. But if they start jumping in, 1, 2, 3 arrows, then it's going to make them really difficult later on.
Well, I agree with that, and I also think that we have to worry about, Troy's almost limping because his knee is so swollen up, and he's going to have to fight through his practice shots and then the show. And somehow you have to block that out.
Well, he's been doing it for 6 weeks right now. Bowling on 1 wheel, basically.
Because he was doing, before this all started, as I was walking over to the booth, he was doing some serious stretching. I go, "You okay?" And he goes, "I'll make it, but it's sore." I said, "Tylenol?" He goes, "Stronger." Okay.
Barnes going to start here on lane 53.
Barnes hasn't changed his game plan. He is sticking with the high hard one.
It's the right lane for Barnes, I think, is a questionable, and he needs to finish there. So Janowicz was paying attention. He knows Barnes has this left lane, the right one, not quite as much, so make him finish over there.
If you've never seen John Janowicz bowl, his setup, his process is very methodical and kind of unique.
So I think of all the practice shots he threw this phase 2, I think 1 time on the left lane.
Yep.
I'm not sure if he threw it at all on the right lane, but he's ready to go for it because he knows exactly what this ball is supposed to do.
Almost left the 610.
Wow. A little better look at this here. How does this happen?
Well, he got that clear out to like 6-7, and so the ball just never made the turn. But trust me, I think his mind's like a computer. He is processing information like crazy.
Yeah, it looked like that was a control delete. Did not compute on that shot because that ball came back hard and then deflected and almost went right at the 9-pin to leave that. What could have been a pocket 6-7. I'm not sure we see that ball again. No, all right, so got to hit it harder, get that ball to finish.
I would love to answer that question, but it's John Janawicz.
Oh, I know.
I would say yes, but John does things that, well, we said it earlier.
Well, he moved left.
And
yeah.
So, as I'm looking you straight in the face, would you have done that? Would you have moved farther left?
No.
No.
Not with that ball. No, the way we saw it react on the right lane, I would have done it with that ball. But again, he understands the core, the dynamics, what it's doing, and just got all of it and sent it out.
And he got it farther right and
go.
it came back. But again, I said, I don't know how he thinks because we thought he was lined up with one ball at the Masters, struck probably 12 shots, and never threw it again.
So here's the lane for Barnes. This is the one that's going to decide this match, I believe. That looked pretty good. So we got JJ going left, and looks like Barnes maybe just inching right, just maybe a little. I mean, like a 1-1 maybe.
Well, that was actually slower. If those are right, he was 16-7. He's been throwing 17-1. Yeah. That's why the greats out here, folks, are the greats, because they do things that unfortunately we can't see sometimes with the naked eye, and we try to see it and explain it and hopefully, help make you understand what they do, but there's sometimes we don't understand what they're doing. He didn't like that one at all because that never got right.
Nope.
That was like 16 and got to 11. And that was 17.2.
That was left all the way. And not just only 4, but 4 on a double, so you're losing a ton of count here in a very difficult spare. Watch, this is just insta-hook. That was 13. That never had a sniff again right. And the 9-pin is a tough one to get out of here. If you make the 4-7, you're probably going to leave the 9.
That's only been picked up. I mean, you see it picked up a little bit, but not very often. It's just going to be tough to get the 9 out and to pick up the 4-7. But if anybody can do it,
yeah, I mean that's kind of what happens there. It's tough to get all 6 in that position. It just really is.
Have you ever picked that up?
I don't think so. Yeah, my ball doesn't hook enough to leave it that often. So, so there's that.
At 22 mile an hour.
So 48 in the third after a double, but 4-3 for Barnes. Big opportunity for John Janawicz here.
John Janawicz looks like he's throwing a phase 2, and he's inside of Barnes, and probably looks like he's trying to create or bounce off of his hook spot that he's created.
That was a little bit lazier, though. I mean, back-to-back shots. So 53 had been tighter. Actually, looks like it's hooking a little bit more right now, at least for JJ with this ball, than 54.
He gets set, holds the ball down, gets it where he gets his hips where he wants them. You can see him kind of like wiggle there and get where lined up, because I think he's throwing point A to point B. Like 17 to 8 and 10 back.
And watch where this ball goes off the pin deck. A lot different than what you're seeing on the right lane. That's called splitting the 8-9 right there.
In all the matches previously on the show, and that lane has been traditionally tighter, especially if you get it right. I mean, I think that's the big thing on this pattern. You just can't get it right of like 6-7. That was a beautiful shot by Chris Barnes right there. So now he's back to 16-5, and when he split, he threw it 17-1.
Changing his roll. A little more end over end.
And a little more inside, not quite as direct as he's been playing. (15-16) to the marker with a little help
from his friends.
Again, you don't see anybody throwing anything really dull because of a lot of lane shine on both of those balls. JJ just makes it look so effortless.
That was his best shot of the game on that right lane. I just want to give a shout out and a big thank you to Bolero, PBA sponsor. Tom, did you know that there was almost $300,000 in prize money for the World Series of Bowling this week, all the different events?
Really? No, I did not know that.
Yeah, that's not bad. I mean,
that's
I think Tom Hess won about half of it.
It's a chunk of change. No wonder he bought ice cream last night.
Well, he should have, yeah. He owes me ice cream. But the inaugural event here at Jack 60 has been a great week so far. And one heck of a prize pool that these bowlers have been divvying up here throughout all this competition. Janawicz now looking for 5 in a row. And he found it.
You never see John get excited about anything. He's like, yep, 5 in a row and just walk back. It was okay. And he's processing information the whole time. That ball definitely split the 8-9. It never stopped going left. You can tell bowling is an absolute job for John Janawicz. I mean, it's something that, granted it's a sport, he loves to do it, but he treats it like a job. There's a process. Chris Barnes, 10 back.
Well, good news, bad news. We might see all strikes the rest of the way, but that means Barnes is going to come out on the losing end of this one. .258 the max score for Barnes, .290 for Janawicz.
Beautiful shot there by Chris Barnes.
So we were talking about Angelo's hesitation step at the beginning earlier. Barnes has it in the middle.
Yes. And it's kind of unique that 3 great bowlers that we have out here tend to have kind of the similar type approach, a hesitation stop.
A little hitch in the giddy up?
Yeah, somewhere. But Angelo and Janawicz are after the first step. Chris is after the second step. That was a great shot. But
sure was. And interesting, I watched close on that one. Janawicz actually has a little movement in his hand in his hesitation, too. He's still kind of fidgeting there a little bit. So that's just his timing, right? If something doesn't feel good, he just shuts her down.
Well, it could be, or it could be just keeping your hand relaxed. Who else does that when they approach the line?
Norm.
Exactly. If you watch Norm Duke, he's fidgeting the whole time in his first step, then it locks in, and he goes.
Oh, you meant Norm Duke. I meant Norm Cronkite.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, sure you did.
Norm is always fidgeting. He's never happy. Quarter piece of tape here, half piece of tape there.
Brian Voss did the same thing. He was always wiggling his hand.
A lot, yep.
And a lot of that's just to keep your swing loose. Once you lock up and pick a position, muscles tend to tighten up.
You got to round that one. 10 back.
You see him with his wrist. He I need to get that wrist action a little bit so I get the ball to go through the pins.
You always say we'd like to have a heart monitor on some of these players. I'd like to have like what do you call those things? You hook up to somebody's brain and watch the brain waves as John's walking up and back. Those things got to be going all over the place.
They'd be spiking everywhere. But I think his heart rate's like this.
Oh, yeah, it's flatlined.
Yeah. Really. It's like he's got formaldehyde in his system. He just doesn't show a whole lot of emotion unless you show him a dessert. With that was a great shot, but from this angle it looked like it was in off of his hand, but it held.
You gave me a great idea, Tom.
What?
If I ever have to bowl John Janawicz, I'm bringing a big old piece of cheesecake down there. Yeah. That'll distract him.
Oh, guaranteed you'll win. So Janawicz with the possible 269.
Yeah, pacing 239. Go strike, spare strike. Barnes can still get to 258. You can literally hear a pin drop. And Chris hoping to hear 10 pins drop, and we did right there.
Well, I was scared to say anything to talk because nobody is. I mean, everybody's like frozen in time, and we're not, folks. We're not that far from them. We're right behind them, literally 15 feet, 20 maybe at the best.
Well, Janus can get up here and lock up this match.
I need to ask John, you see guys swing the ball a couple times sometimes and get set, but he just hangs it to his side. I'd like to know what that key is. You know. I wasn't so sure.
Well, there was a pin on the deck. That's why there was an uh-oh. He didn't get them all off the deck.
Oh.
Yeah.
I wasn't so sure I liked that off his hand, but obviously it worked out okay. You must learn, because he's been on Team USA for 10 years, there must be something in the training to mentally prepare you or to be able to control your emotions in a situation like this.
I think not just Team USA, but Kegel as well, and he spends a lot of time working with Kegel. So a strike here. We'll wrap this up. He'll take on Brad Angelo.
Ten back. No, it's not. Ooh. It looked good off his hand. 28-48. Forcing Barnesy to double.
Yep.
Assuming that John picks this up. You know, Norm Duke always said he would never show, if he's up on the right lane and he strikes, he would never show emotion then because he has to throw on the left lane. If he struck on the left lane, he showed a little emotion because he had time to sit and calm back down. Again. But no emotion on the right lane.
Count's important here.
That was a little farther inside.
Count's important here.
Yeah, that was farther inside. That was not good at all. 6 count.
Still needs first one.
That was probably the worst shot I've seen Janawicz throw today. That was just left off of his hand.
Got to have this one. Did you like that one?
I'm pretty sure he did.
Yeah.
He just needs good count now. No 4 through the middle.
I think he needs 8 spare. 8 spare would be a tie. Wait, let me do the math again.
Okay. The smoke is like unbelievable here. You're thinking too hard.
Actually, he needs 9, right? 8 spare would be a tie.
It's good. He didn't even see it fall.
I didn't need it. 9 was enough. Yeah,
9 was enough.
9 was enough.
Chris Barnes is going to move
7 spare
on
245. Yeah.
to meet Brad Angelo.
So Chris looking for his 5th title on the PBA50 Tour. Brad Angelo looking for his 2nd. John Janawicz finishes 4th here in the major. Another solid outing for JJ.
Looked like he was. Did he throw a pitch black right there? Trying to create a little more hold.
One moment, please.
One moment, please. We could have a replay.
Or an IQ.
Or an IQ.
Yeah, that definitely wasn't your thing. Here's another look at this shot.
IQ.
Could also be the new Zen as well, but it didn't look like it was any gold on that one. That looked more like IQ. So Troy Lint now will get in. He'll get to take a couple of shots before this semifinal match is underway. Of course, Brad Angelo will get his shots as well.
I just wonder if Troy will take all of his shots. If he finds a shot, he might not want to tear it up anymore.
But he gets 4, correct?
Yeah, then he gets, what, 10?
8 or 10.
8 or 10.
So too many.
Too many, but...
Yeah, Brad's not going to be able to stay that far right.
No.
And that was my concern when I was telling you, seeing what JJ and Chris, we're going to do the pair before Brad gets here. He's going to have to go left or ball down. When he was crushing him earlier today, he was just poking his left eye out. Very, very direct, and that direct shot is not going to be there here in this semifinal match.
The more they tear up the center, the more their carry goes away on this particular pattern. You hit the pocket a lot, but you leave a lot of corners.
Right. Again, it so advantaged Troy Lint. Yeah, so he bumped in on that one, gave a little more room. That was a better shot.
Well, Brad Angelo, quality player. He played the high rollers. He played World Team Challenges. He's used to moving all over the lane. World Team Challenge patterns were absolutely brutal. You were in front of the ball return doing tricks trying to get a ball down the lane. And he bowled with some great bowlers on his team back then.
Yeah, absolutely.
Newman, Hoffman, and those guys, they were just almost unbeatable.
Oh, he can move around, play the whole lane, but, you go back to when he had his best look here the last day and a half. It was very direct, with the bigger ball, and I just don't think he'll get away with throwing that now, unfortunately.
Look at the spine tilt that Troy Lint's got. Just from his hip to his shoulders, that's a ton of tilt.
Brad's taking 2 on each lane, throwing the same ball on both. It's wonderful. Try something different just to see what else might be out there. And his jerseys are always pretty cool to watch. They're all designed by his daughters, all the different ones Brad has. So those are always pretty special. John Weber, our National Tournament Director, talking up this match to our crowd here at Jack 60. Also, another sponsor we want to give a big thank you to is Brian Wallachek and the guys at WBPI, the Western Bowling Proprietors Insurance Company here. They're the guys that if somebody gets hurt, that's who you call. Or if you have a problem in the center, so Brian Wallachek is here.
Actually,
also known as
Wayne
one heck
Webb
of a
has
bowler.
the same insurance at his bowling center.
That's it's pretty common up here in this part of the country. And Brian just went into the Michigan State Bowling Hall of Fame a few weeks ago.
Practice shots should be just coming to an end.
Yeah, he's going to try the reality as well. So proton physics and reality are the two balls it looks like Brad is taking a look at.
And it looks like he's trying to stay right on top of where Chris Barnes is at. So that means with both of them throwing big balls, sooner or later somebody's got to go left.
Right. Somebody's going to have to make that move. And Chris is watching that. There's no doubt about it. Of course, the practice pair, he's not going to get lined up. He's just trying to stay loose. He's just throwing his plastic ball. Just keep everything moving, keep the blood flowing, keep the muscles from tightening up too much. So after that last game, I'm not sure if there's an advantage or disadvantage on where you put Barnes.
Well, that's a complete ball change.
RST
1.
Or 1? Is it the 1?
I think it's the 1. Okay. It's the green one. So we are. You said earlier,
he's going to go right with that thing.
And he's balling down.
Yeah, the X1. So he's going to go right. I don't hate that.
It wasn't fantastic,
no,
but I don't hate it.
I think he can move right again, though, right? So, I mean, I don't know. He knows what it's going to do. Maybe not what he's looking for exactly.
Josh Solomon walking by with his earpiece. He looks like he works for the FBI.
He does in his part-time.
Yeah, he just needs to start talking into his wrist, and everything will be all good.
Security.
Security.
Well, good news, David. You'll be able to watch it all on the archives here on BowlTV. And when we wrap up our coverage today, you can jump on over to the PBA Skill Ball Challenge, hosted by Mike Flanagan, also on BowlTV.
And that starts at 7 o'clock
In
about 8 minutes.
Yeah, 7-ish. But we got the good action right here. We've got Hall of Famers, the best PBA50 bowlers on the planet.
So all they need is their
And we got John Weber. He didn't have John Weber.
No, nobody's got John Weber. So they can have the skill on their TV, and as long as they got a laptop or a phone, they can have us watch it on BowlTV. So Chris Barnes starting this match.
So Barnes sticking with your reality. That was in.
Well, he's inched in. Yeah, he's inched in a little bit. He's like 17, 18 maybe, from our angle.
17.5 miles an hour too.
But he's not 15 where he was, so he's moved in a little bit. Yeah, it looked like 17. The key is having enough speed to keep it online.
So what's he going with here?
Well, it's hard to tell where Brad's going to, because he has a 15-board drift left.
Proton, his favorite ball.
4-pin.
Yeah, that's what I'm worried about, trying to play that ball on that line. His ball's just going to jump on him a little bit.
I think he's going to have to move a little bit left and he might have to get a little bit left of Chris, because that was right of 15, right of the marker down lane.
So the X1 not quite strong enough. And this ball here maybe just a touch too strong. So
yeah,
what's
you
the
like
magic
the X1
one to get in
though.
between? I didn't hate it. It was a lot smoother. But I don't think he liked the way it went through the pins, and that's something that Brad watches very closely.
There is an art to watching ball motion, where the ball starts reading the lane, how it goes through the pins, and the adjustments that you're going to make. And Brad is a unbelievable student of that process. He moved in a little bit off of that.
And that one came up a little weak, though. I mean, it struck, but it just wasn't as forceful. So I think he's in a tough spot. I really do.
And when I was asking Brad about his drift, he goes, I kind of line up on 15 and look at 15, and then he just takes off walking. That's kind of unique, and he obviously is lining up dead on the target he's trying to hit. Boy, he fired that down low.
Yeah, he jammed that one in there. I only
Wow.
got 1706, but it sure looked quicker.
It sure looked
than that.
faster than that.
Got out to 8.5 or so at that rangefinder down lane.
Chris shooting spares better than he did the other day. He had a little.
He was practicing them during
He had a little bit of a problem with spares the other day.
Yeah, I did forget to ask him about that. Why he doesn't use interchangeables in that spare ball. I have to write that down and try to remember to ask him for the next event.
The rhythm of that approach didn't look the same as normal Chris Barnes. The hesitation wasn't as pronounced. Looked like he was just a little bit quick with that.
Yeah, gets it in the swing a little quick and play a little catch up. Maybe it comes up just a touch light.
Right. So, I mean, when your rhythm's off, call it timing if you want. When your rhythm's off, you miss it at the bottom. And if you miss it at the bottom, you don't get the reaction that you're looking for. Chris starting out with strike, spare. Brad Angelo will be interesting if he moves to the left on this lane because he came in a little high. It looked like he kept trying to jam it. But it's hard to tell the way he lines up.
Yeah, and this doesn't look like it's going to be a 240-plus game here to win this match. 2 teens, 220s might be enough here. I see a lot of lines. If this was no tap, it'd be 300 to 300.
Well, in watching bowling and all the matches today, once they burn that spot like they have, the ball looks great going down lane, looks great going to the pins, except for the carry percentage isn't as good.
Right.
And that's what they're going to have a tough time dealing with. Either it's a ball change, it's a move, it's a wrist position change. I mean, there's obviously a multitude of things that can happen. But I think if they keep playing the same part with big balls, sooner or later somebody's going to have to make a major change because they got to bowl a lefty that hasn't had any traffic on his side.
Well, we saw, remember last game with Barnes, is he just changed his rotation, just got up the back of him more, and controlled that down lane reaction. And right now, it's just not working the same. When you think 4 shots in each lane, that's almost a full game of practice that Brad got before he gets to this match. And is that 210 or 2-8-10?
210.
Just a 2, okay.
From our standpoint back here, it looks like the ball's just losing too much energy. This could be a ball change. That X1, kind of a little bit weaker shell, could store a little more energy for him.
And then Barnes maybe jumps into whatever that was, either the IQ or the gold label he threw on the fill ball.
Oh. Uncharacteristic of Brad Angelo. At least not getting one. Brad 66 in the fourth. And when you're Chris, you're like, oh, maybe I got a break, but you can't let your guard down. And you just got to keep their pedal on the metal and just keep going because anything can happen. We still have 6 frames left. And of all people, Chris Barnes knows what can happen in the last 5 frames. He just made a ball change. It looked like to the IQ.
Yeah, it doesn't look shiny enough to be that gold label he'd been throwing earlier in the week, so I'm not quite sure. You see the gold there? That's going too fast.
It's going too fast, but it looks like an IQ to me from this angle. Whatever it is, it looks symmetrical, not asim. Not going to read the mids as hard. Might give him a little more on the back.
So Barnes the first one to make the move. That's where the chess match starts. He's going to force Angelo to do the same. When your opponent opens, you get up and throw a double. That's what
same part of the lane,
do.
just a different ball.
Oh, Brad's still staying with the same ball. I'm kind of surprised.
I'm really surprised. He must have a different thought process on what he's going to do. He had to see those last two shots. He's striking, but that's just not.
Yeah, I don't like where that ball went out the pin deck at all.
Well, yeah, they just, like I said, he's striking, but that's, I don't think that's repeatable. And he's down roughly at least 20 pins.
He's down, what, 23?
Could be 23 if he strikes, yeah.
That, 33.
Okay. Oh, great one. What did you see there? What kind of change did he make other than he's still at 15, still going to 10? And that had to be a wrist position change, loft change,
yeah, I think
or something that we didn't.
A touch of loft there, just a touch.
That we can't see here.
Not a lot, but just a little bit of loft on that one, which, you know, little change in the wrist and get it out of the lane just a little bit to get a little more oomph once it makes that turn.
Well, I got to watch that shot right here, and Chris was like 18 at the arrows to 10 down lane. That was
a solid ball change.
That was pure.
Yeah. He didn't he wasn't shy with getting on top of that one. So he's setting the ball down probably 3 foot earlier, 2 to 3 foot earlier than what Brad Angelo is.
Because if Brad moves left, he's going to be moving into Chris's traffic. So it could be a bigger move for him if he decides to move, or a ball down also.
Ooh, trips the 9.
Oh. Trip the 9. Little love tap right there. At the arrows, 18 to 11. A little high. 4-pin comes over and says, I like you. Puts Brad Angelo into basically a must-strike situation to keep up. Well, that was the same kind of strike that we've seen in the shot before, but
not real crispy, but it got the job done. It's the next on the board.
It hits and it's just kind of like, duh. But they fell down.
So Brad strikes in the 8th. He's still down 23. He's going to need Barnes to give him some help somewhere, regardless of what he does here at the rest of this game. The semifinal here, the World Championships, PBA50 World Series of Bowling. Craig Elliott and Tom Carter here in the booth. We're in Jackson, Michigan at Dave Small's Jack's 60.
About our 10th day here.
Yeah, I lost track how many days it was here.
We've been here a lot. Then we leave tomorrow morning to go over to Wyoming, Michigan,
or Houston,
to Spectrum Lanes for a regional.
You guys are insane.
Just nonstop.
That's not going to carry.
That didn't look good at all.
It looked like one of the faster shots Brad has thrown this game. That was almost 16 and a half.
Armchair quarterback here, but I think he should have switched balls.
I concur. I mean, especially as soon as I thought he would do it before Chris, to be honest. Barnes saw, I think, what we saw and said, all right, not enough of that. I'm going to get in and find something that I can smooth out a little bit. And it's paid off.
Best that Brad Angelo can do is 225.
Yeah, there's a look at that. That is the Zen, the gold label. Now that we can see the side of the ball.
It is the gold label?
Yep. Yeah, I couldn't see from behind, but now we can see that logo. So again, it's symmetric.
Still symmetric. Barnes is putting the nails in the coffin in this match. Just kind of tapping them in, going, we're all done.
225 the max score now for Brad Angelo. There's not a whole heck of a lot he can do to get back in this one. I mean, I think Chris has a little room up front and a little bit of room down lane with that ball.
Well, he did the right thing, it looks like, when they were practicing breaking them down, and he broke them down for himself.
Well, he's one of the best at doing that.
Oh, Messenger out to 10, and that's all she wrote. Chris Barnes is going to meet Troy Lint. Chris Barnes, Hall of Famer. Troy Lint looking for his second major this year. Now he just needs, what, 5 wins if he wins tonight.
He might just get them all this year.
To be the Hall of Famer, and he qualifies in 1 year. How's that work for you?
That'd be a heck of a story, wouldn't it?
Oh, that would be a headline.
Well, that's another big finish in a major for Brad Angelo, right? What, did he finish 3rd or 4th at the Masters? He's going to finish 3rd here. So, you know, still a solid season so far. We're at the halfway point, just past halfway point now.
Yeah, we've only got there's
5 more titles up for grabs.
Yeah, Morgantown, West Virginia, Sterling, Virginia, the Villages, Fort Myers.
That's interesting bowling math this year, because this is actually our 4th PBA50 stop, but there's 4 titles this week.
Right.
So, you know, it kind of skews there. So, we're past the halfway point now. And we're going to have Chris Barnes bowling with Troy Lint. Troy Lint's going to bowl for his 2nd major of the year.
Troy winning the U.S. Open in Greeley, Colorado.
I know after that event is when I talked a little bit to Troy, even a little bit to Masters, because, Troy's that regional guy. Been around for a long time, not much here on the national tour, never bowled a regular tour stop. But what I could see, the way that Barnes especially kind of treated him, right, that initiation, if Barnes is giving you the business, you're one of the guys.
Right.
Right, and Troy was that almost instantly out here. So, he's got the respect of these guys.
Well,
and that major just solidified that respect, and now they know he's a player.
And for the folks at home that are watching, if you've never seen Troy Lint throw a ball, he's 56 years old, you're going to see more flexibility than any 10 guys out here on tour have. His rev rate is incredible, so is his speed. He's impressive to watch. Brad Angelo threw a different ball, just wondering if he needed to make a ball change. But then he just went to a bigger ball again, and so I just still thought he went weaker and went left. But what do we know?
Well, no, I mean, we all see a little bit different. He definitely sees the lane up close and personal, and, pulling some information there for when he's in this position again. Because we'll be back to this center again next year. There's no doubt about that.
That was a little quick down the lane.
Yeah, he kind of popped up on that one, don't you think?
Yeah, I think he's just going through the motions to get it over with.
So Barnes finishing up here. We'll get ready for the semifinal match. Troy Lint versus Chris Barnes. We've got a few minutes here as Troy gets couple of practice shots in to bring in a guy who's had a pretty solid week here this week.
That's an understatement.
A third, fourth finish, a second, a first, and now a fifth here in the World Championship. Tom Hess. Welcome, Tom. Nice bowling this week.
Thank you, guys. Hard to be disappointed, but I'd lie if I said I wasn't. I thought I bowled a pretty good game.
You
right
would be
there,
here if you said you weren't disappointed. But what an incredible week you had, and a 300 to get to the show.
Yeah. The last 4 games I bowled today, 269, 279, 244, 300 to get to the show. When I started that round, 201, 190, and lost them both. I mean, I had to. I think what I win 6 or 7 games was all out of the 8.
Right.
And so I had to fight and claw and do everything I could. And bowling great friend Ryan Schaefer there in the position round, and looked like we might have both tied with 300 there for the first few matches before Ryan had an errant shot. But what an event.
I guarantee you there's 100 and probably 93 other guys would love to be in your 92, because there's 193 in the tournament. 192 other guys love to be in the position you were in this whole week to make all the finals and the shows and a win and shoot 300 and do everything you've done. It's an incredible week for you, Tommy.
Well, and we were just talking a little bit during that match that if there was an MVP of the first or the inaugural World Series of Bowling, it was you. I mean, there's no question the week you had.
Thank you, guys. While I have the opportunity, I'd just love to say thank you to Tom Clark, Michelle Terrell, the WPBPI, the Western Bowling Proprietors Association, David Small, and the Bolero Corporation for believing that the PBA50 players deserved a World Series of bowling. And what a great event it was. Anytime you come to one of David's centers, they take care of you. David, Josh Solomon, his general manager, their whole staff, everybody did a wonderful job this week. And I hope we get to come back and do it again. I've bowled pretty well in this center, and if they keep having it here in this center,
that's pretty much an understatement, don't you think?
Yeah. A couple of years ago, I led qualifying here before doing basically the same thing I did in match play here. The 2 years ago, we bowled 12 games of match play, and I went 3-9 in match play and went from the #1 seed, fell all the way to 7th.
I think I want to bowl Tom Hess in match play is what I'm hearing.
Well, yeah.
I thought, with the way this format worked, and I won all those matches, I thought, hey, maybe, because I went at the Senior U.S. Open, I only went 12-12 in the 24 games of match play. And, this format this week, when I won all those matches, I thought maybe things are going to change, but man, people must not like me. It's not like I bowled bad.
Well,
Walter bowled
they know they need
to
step their game up.
Well, they know that.
Right?
They know how aggressive you are when you bowl, and they know that, like Greg said, they got to step up their game. I mean, their focus level probably went tenfold when they had to bowl you. So that's a feather in your cap. People know they have to bowl when they have to bowl Tom Hess.
Well, thank you, guys. I try to leave it all out there on the lanes and give it all every shot. And, I told Craig I wasn't going to work for BowlTV. I'm going to try to work for BowlTV every week. How's that?
Yeah, well, you're working on the other side. That's okay.
You're on the other side of the camera there. So, Tom, we figured you must have bowled somewhere around 100 games this week with all the games, all the qualifying, all the practice, all the different matches. There's a regional tomorrow. You're not bowling the regional, are you?
I'm bowling the regional. I am not bowling the practice session.
Okay.
And it's, Craig, 100 has got to be way low because it was, so we bowled 48 games here.
Right.
I bowled 10 the first day, is 58. I bowled 9 the second day, takes us to 67. I bowled 14 to win, takes me to 71. That's
81.
81. 82.
You bowled a whole league season in a week.
We bowled 3 hours of practice.
Right.
And then before every block, we had 15 minutes of practice. And I came in one day and bowled. I didn't bowl very much. I only bowled about 20, 25 minutes on the Weber pattern, because they put it out for 3 days in a row, and I didn't want to come in completely behind. So one morning I came in and bowled on that for about 20 minutes. I'm well over a league season this week.
Well, yeah, you're over 100.
Well,
that's incredible. And people don't realize that. They go, you know, if you only bowl one night a week and, you know, you got 33 weeks, you got 99 games in. And they wonder how the guys out here got so good. You put in 100 games in a week, and if, like the old tour, if it was 32-week season, you had 32 years experience in one season.
Yeah.
You know, you better get good or get out, one of the two.
Well, Tom, I did hear something, too, that we need to discuss, and we'll do it on camera. You bought ice cream for these guys yesterday?
I did.
You got time to go for ice cream later?
Probably going to go for ice cream later, Craig. If you would like ice cream, I will buy you ice cream.
We'll get you somewhere down the line. But fantastic week this week, Tom. Get some rest.
Yeah.
And then good luck with the rest of the tour. We're back the next event in Morgantown, a new stop, and then back to the Budmore Classic where you finished second last year in Drainesville, so you got some good vibes going back to that building, and then work our way down to Florida.
If you oversleep on Tuesday, that's okay. That's just one more check for the rest of us.
Okay. I'll tell you what, Tom, give me $300, I won't even go. How's that?
Oh,
Is that fair?
I guarantee we could probably take up a little collection for the players, and we might get you more than $300 to stay home, Tom. So, again, good luck, Tom. Thanks for sitting in. We appreciate it.
Oh, you're welcome, guys.
And get some rest.
Who you like here? Is Chris going to keep his role of he's getting a few breaks tonight, or is Troy going to?
I like the ball change. I like his ball change last game for sure. We were surprised Brad didn't do something similar a little before at the same time Chris did. But it's tough to go against Troy Lint right now. I mean, he just strikes and strikes and strikes.
Yeah, if he burn a spot for himself, and that's what he normally does.
Well, he didn't, because he didn't even throw a shot over here. He's only throwing these 10. He didn't even come over here to practice tonight. Yeah.
And well, that could be because of his knee and how bad that hurts.
Yeah. Yep. So, well, gentlemen, I will step out and let you guys call this title match. I'm sure you'll do wonderful. Thank you very much for asking me to come in and chat for a little bit and kill some time. And
congratulations on the week that you had.
Thank you, Tom.
And Sue says in the chat, ice cream is a yes.
Ice cream is a yes.
All right. Thanks, Tom.
So hurry up with your tear down. I'm just going to fill you in. I'm going to run to the hotel room. We're going to get some car. I got to go get. We're going to get Sue's car because I'm sending some stuff back with her, and then we'll go for ice cream. So if you're done, Craig, you're invited.
Perfect. Thank you, Tom.
Ice cream on the big guy tonight.
There you go.
I'll be the teddy bear instead of the grizzly bear for a while.
And I said that on the show. When he's not on there, he's a big teddy bear. He's on the show, he's somebody else.
All right. Good luck the rest of the season, Tom. Thank you very much.
Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you.
Nice tournament, buddy.
And here we go. We're ready.
It's showtime. $25,000 up for grabs. $1,000 up for grabs if they shoot 300. I tried to get Josh to put $25,000 on the 300.
We worked and it wasn't happening.
He told me there was not enough free balls on the truck.
It wasn't happening
to do that.
I did see that Barnes brought another ball over to the rack, though. So let's see. Is he actually going to throw it right away, or it's just an if necessary? That exponent, which we saw a lot of the guys throwing this week, he added to his arsenal here on 53 and 54. So championship match. PBA50 World Series of Bowl and the World Championship. This is it. Chris Barnes, Troy Lint for the major title.
Yeah, in about 24 minutes, we're going to know who the winner's going to be. Who's your pick, everybody?
So he is going right to that exponent.
Yeah,
This is a blind change. Took a lot of time on the approach, but he knocks all 10 down.
That was, that's why these guys are Hall of Famers and they're great. I mean, they make a ball change, and they're not scared about what they're going to do. They know what the ball's going to do. They know what the lane's been doing as they're bowling on it, and they're like, okay, I just need to do this and execute the shot. That ball, though, when it hit, it just kind of faded off to the right a little bit.
Yeah, it's an interesting move here in frame number one because that ball he went to at the end of the game looked pretty decent. But, I mean, is that, okay, I'm going to have to shoot at least 240 and didn't have that look with that?
Troy Lint with that big backswing.
Oh, my goodness.
Gets the break on the first one. So,
yeah, you come back and say you kind of apologize to your opponent for that one. Sorry, Chris, but I'm going to take it because the rules say I have to.
I don't think he apologized.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, sort of.
So who's the picks? I seen it come up.
I didn't see the final tally there.
Oh. Well, you talk about getting your dominant eye over the ball. That boy does it with that spine tilt.
Doesn't get the break on the 6-pin there.
I'm curious why he didn't come over and take his other practice shots. You know, we talked about that earlier, but maybe he was scared to tear up his shot.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it was only going to be a couple of shots, right? I mean, if nothing else, well, I guess you get the 10 shots there before the title match, so that's enough, right? I mean, you're going to get your feet under you, test the approaches. I mean, that would guess would be the only reason to make sure you do it, just make sure you're not sticking, so you adjust your slide pads before the match. But you know, Mike Haggett was a guy that did that in one of his matches, right? He didn't take the practice, and I think it cost him a little bit. Remember that last year?
Right.
And he said he learned from it. So I don't know. It's interesting why Troy didn't.
You know, I think he only got 4 shots anyway to come over, or maybe it was 6.
No, he got 10. Yeah, he got 10.
Well, no, when he came over this time.
Right.
But before, you know, it was either 4 or 6. But either way, just take maybe, if it is 4, I can see taking 4 shots, you know, 2 shots on each lane and getting off, kind of get yourself an idea what you want to do.
Because like you said, we haven't used this since yesterday morning. The advances are on. I don't know if he hit this pair then. So he might not have balled on this pair since Tuesday. Right?
Right.
So and Barnes starts with a double.
It's amazing he had such a good look with that gold label there at the end, and he switched to looks like a much bigger ball.
Yeah, he's gone to that Exponent, which is like a kind of a beefy benchmark ball.
Chris is definitely fired up and locked on.
He is hyper-focused, might be a good term. Oh, and he liked it.
Wow. But, man, that ball is hitting the pocket and going to the right.
Yeah, a little deflection there still, right.
And that looks like 3 shots in a row, but they've all carried doing that.
Well, this center really likes the light pocket hits.
I think Troy's knee is really getting to him. He really needs to take a break, maybe a week off, or hopefully let that swelling go down.
Well, if we ask him and he says, I'm bowling the reels tomorrow, I'm just going to take his car keys and I'll bowling balls and say, no, you're not. I'm going to lock him in his hotel room.
Yeah,
stay off that thing. You got a season to go where you're leading the points for Player of the Year.
Yeah, you would think a little elevation, some ice, and give it some rest. He doesn't have much of a slide. His timing is dead pure because he's at the line. Almost kind of reminds me of Rudy Kazmarakis with that at the line with a real high backswing and just powering through it. Rudy revs.
All right.
The only difference, Rudy was at the foul line, I believe, with the backswing.
Oh, the swing was already still in the air when he stopped. Yeah, we got to see him bowl. For the only time I've seen him bowl in person was at the Plastic Ball Championship we had in Memphis a few years back because he lives in that area. And what he was doing with the plastic ball, even in his 50s, was pretty impressive. He didn't bowl a whole lot anymore. Businessman.
He's down in Mississippi now, I think.
I think so, yeah. Barnes to open the front 4 here in this championship match.
He is not letting up. It's amazing what $25,000 can do to your adrenaline. You know, it's one thing that Troy doesn't do. He's standing over here. He's not sitting down because I think if he sits down, that knee will lock up.
Well, yeah, I mean, it doesn't bend, so it's hard to get back up. That's the problem, right? You can't sit in the chair and bend your knees.
Yeah, he's just
keeping
constantly standing up.
I mean, a bar stool would be fine for him, right? He can just kind of scooch up on that, but he didn't want to sit down.
No. Whoa! What was that?
That was a.
That was a stop. That
what was the Wichita windmill?
Oh my God! Surprised his arm is still locked in.
Well, he likes that. You know, it's a tight fit and sharp poles, but this is his little hesitation. That's just shut down. All right, so right in here, this hesitation.
Something happened.
Time to shut her down.
And he changed his mind and goes, I don't want to do that. Wow.
Oh, we got a handful of that one.
That was a
good
beautiful shot.
There. That's the best one we've seen
Boy,
this game.
Way to stop, reset, and perform. What an incredible shot that was. There's so many people that can't stop when they start their approach, but he was almost at the point of release and held up on that, then gets totally reset, refocused, and pures the next one.
Yeah, I think Chris, Norm, and Tom Doherty are the three guys that come to mind, and Sean Rash that they just have that shutter down, where the majority of players, once you start, it's gone.
Oh, I'm not so sure he liked that. I don't know if he was thinking it was going to strike or he didn't like it at all. I'm not.
That was a definite maybe.
Yeah. I've never seen Troy Lint hold up on a shot, but if he does, that's going to be brutal.
Well, with that high backswing, it almost seems like it's not possible to shut it down, right? I mean, how are you going to stop the ball? You almost got to just let go of it, and it hits you in the back of the head.
You're going to end up doing a Machuga flop out on the lane. Just don't let go of it. Troy Lint's putting himself in a kind of a pickle right here, to say the least. Chris Barnes with the front five. Troy going strike, spare, double spare. He's putting himself in a position where he needs to start striking, because I don't see Chris stopping.
No, I don't. I mean, if you miss a couple more times, you're still 258. Depending on where you do it, 258, 268 with a couple spares for Barnes, and Lint's max 259. So Troy needs to keep striking and just hope that Barnes gives him a chance to sneak into this one somewhere. Give him a chance in 10th frame. That's all they can hope for.
He didn't like that one off his hand. And now he's losing sight of the $25,000.
And as far as shooting spares, the single pins, it's the 7-pin that's probably the toughest one for. Look, he posted that one, though. Kept some weight on that knee.
Yeah.
But similar to when Pete had the hip issue a couple years ago, shooting a 10-pin was tough. Same for Troy here. It's the corner pin where you really plant, and use that lower body. So
he's got that really short power step,
no problem,
which allows him to get on top of it. And you can see him waddling back. That knee's got to be playing a part when you have to try to focus on your game and the pain of your body. It's tough to execute a shot.
Yeah, you can only block it out for so much, right? Because it's constantly just jabbing at you. Eventually, it's going to bite you. 248 the max score now for Troy and Lint here in our championship match. Chris Barnes on the front five.
Chris, his grip, his holes are so tight, he has to pull his fingers out. Because once his thumb gets in there, he's not getting it out. He has to pull his fingers out of the ball. What a move. Totally impressed by the fact that Chris was lined up in the previous match with a gold label, switches balls, never gets a chance to throw it, lines up, throwing the front six, and almost probably a shot and a half away from winning $25,000. He's in the lead.
Sounds like something John Janawicz would do.
Oh,
we just defeated that last round, or the round before that. Pretty impressive run, what we've seen so far for Chris Barnes here in this stepladder final.
That was inside, and he knew it.
That's a big break.
Big break. That could have ended up big four.
Yeah, that could have been four through the middle again. Right. Could have been big four. Yeah, it could have been a whole lot of anything.
That was
anything but a six pin.
At least 2 boards left at the arrows from where he's been playing. But he's got a simple spare, so he's at still 279 pace. Troy Lint at 248. Yep. The wheels haven't fallen off, just a bump in the road.
You got max score for Troy Lint, 248.
If Chris Barnes could just strike spare the rest of the way out, he's 249.
Right. Yeah, he needs to give Troy an opportunity somewhere, and I just don't see it happening.
Troy needs this one. There's one. So the only thing that Troy can do is just strike the rest of the way out and hope there's another hiccup along the way.
And I don't see Chris going high again. If anything, he might go light, but he's not going to go through the face like he did last time. He won't let that happen.
Well, you don't want to get too light. That's 2-8-10 on this pattern.
Troy's sticking with that purple hammer.
He's got several of them. It needs to happen. That ball didn't look good, looked like off his hand, and that is almost game, set, match right there. That almost looked like he bounced it on the downswing. Something didn't look right. It just, well, he didn't bounce it. It just didn't sound right.
Just missed it in.
Yeah, just missed it totally. Now, max score is 214, and Chris Barnes is cruising to $25,000. Beautiful shot there in the 8th. Chris Barnes only has to do is show up the next 2 frames.
Barnes game 1, 245-236 went over Tom Hess. Game 2, 258-244 over John Janawicz. Not very easy going there. And it gets Brad Angelo in the semifinal, 248-211. So it's 45, 58, 48, and then another potentially 79. That's a pretty solid 4-game set for Chris Barnes. And going through 3 different balls along the way as well. And making that blind change. That was huge here in this final match.
The blind change was the most impressive part of this whole thing. Switching to a ball that you don't know what's really going to do. I mean, obviously you had an idea, but My gosh, that was just, and then just flat label on the front six.
Pretty impressive. Very, very impressive. I mean, he's shown us why he's a Hall of Famer. I mean, he's won pretty much every award possible on a regular tour.
Well, you're going to see Troy Lint more. Unfortunately, I think his knee played more of a factor than anything in him bowling. It's tough when you hurt. It's tough to perform.
The good news is we've got a week off, or he's got a week off before the next event. Doesn't have to be in Morgantown until next Monday for practice.
Hopefully he's not bowling the next 2 regionals. He needs to take a break.
I'm not going to let him. We're going to have a talk.
Yeah,
I think you and Jeff Johnson are going to have a talk with him too. Say, dude, just rest
take a
it.
break.
He's going to rest it. There's no doubt about it. But still, a great season so far for Troy Lint. What he's done with a major title, his first win. Finishes second here in another major. Just fantastic bowling so far for Troy, and his season is far from over. We will see him again here in the Stepladder final on the PBA50. There's zero question about that.
Well, I guarantee his knee's glad this tournament's over.
Absolutely. And early part of the problem this week, though, is that he lost his knee brace. Or something was wrong with his knee brace was messing up. Something happened to it.
Oh, my Lord.
So it's not fitting quite right, or, So
probably
his
knee's so swollen up he can't get it off.
Probably doesn't fit, yeah. So Chris Barnes with a victory lap here. Again, the game's 245, 258, 248, and possible 279.
Yeah, he's just got to throw it. I'm surprised he's even taken any time. Just get this, throw it, and it's going to strike again. Okay. Why not shoot 279? He could switch balls again.
Yeah, why not? Switch balls on the fill. Honestly, Tom, as funny as that sounds, that's not a horrible idea because, again, we're coming back to Jack 60 next year. We saw Brad Angelo do it on his last ball after the match was over.
See?
He did change balls. Grab another one. Come on, one more.
Is there one more ball down there? Grab something else. Craig Elliott on the way to the foul line to do the BowlTV interview with our tournament champion, Chris Barnes, here at Jack 60. Chris Barnes, winner of the 2023 PBA50 World Series of Bowling.
All right, we're here with Chris Barnes, our champion here, the inaugural PBA50 World Series of Bowling World Championship. Congratulations, Chris.
Thank you. Chris Barnes already answering text on his phone.
And your last win was actually here in this building last year, so obviously you kind of like it here. What can you say about the staff and the crew here in Jackson?
They treat us fantastic. Dave Small has run it seems triple digits in events for the PBA and a bunch of PBA50s, and they treat us great every time. The staff's here and works their tail off and makes sure that we don't want for anything, and it's sure appreciated.
So, Chris, 19 titles on a regular tour. This is your 5th out here on the 50 tour, and you ran a Stepladder in a convincing fashion here this week. What was the secret of this championship here?
Well, I guess maybe some of the mistakes I made the other day against Tom paid off. So, hi. Hi.
We've got somebody else in this interview. There's the family. Well, Chris, one question we had, though, is you made that change to the exponent in the last game, a blind change. Where did that come from?
That's about – I've been using the Zen Gold and then going the exponent after it once they start to hook a little bit too much in the front, and then the exponent's a little longer and a little cleaner, but it comes off of it. And so I talked with Callahan here, and we went back and forth on it a little bit and decided that I used a pin in the palm one earlier in the day to try and stay to the right, but now everybody broke them down to the right. There's nothing like getting guys together like having a left-hander on the show. So everybody broke them down to the right, and there was a little bit more room than we'd had, and so we tried to take advantage of it like we did on the day 3 pattern.
Well, it was an impressive move. We were watching in the booth, and the fans out on BowlTV were really impressed with that. Besides your family on the line here, who else would you like to thank this week?
Well, of course, Niner Global, Vice, 3G Shoes, Coolwick, and then we got a ton of sponsors through the Beef and Barnsey show as well, Platinum Ford and Lightning Strikes. And they hosted an event here later on this year, as well as Chris Skilling's there in Oklahoma. So couldn't do it without them. It takes a village, and there's my village. So very fortunate. I was lucky to get out. I got to max out my score against Brad, and that's really why I made the ball change, because I felt like there's no way I was going to get that many fortunate hits again. Sure. So, no, it's great to be back here in Jackson. Fantastic. The PBA50 has a World Series after so many on the regular tour, and a big prize fund. I think this is the biggest one that we've had on the senior tour in some time, and so just happy to be here in a great event and a great venue to have it.